Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the body. I rise in favor of this amendment. This coming Friday evening, throughout the world, Jews and many Christians will mark the Passover holiday with a Seder meal and ceremony. Through symbols and texts, we will reenact the experience of being refugees so that we could feel that experience deeply within our bones. Because only then are we fully able to live and implement the Bible's central and most repeated command, quote, "You shall love the refugee, for you were refugees yourself." As most of you know, Jesus was a refugee, no minor detail of the Christmas story. In fact, it's the opening note in the song that would become Jesus' life and ministry, where he repeatedly echoes the earlier and oft-repeated command to love the refugee. Ruth, for whom the book of Ruth is named, was a refugee. The Israelite people were refugees, and those who welcomed them, such as Rechav in the book of Judges or Jethro in the book of Exodus, were rewarded by God for doing so. And open any page in the prophetic books, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Micah, they all teach us that a society will ultimately be judged not by how pious people claim to be, not by how much wealth has been acquired, but by how we treat the widow and the orphan and the refugee. That's God's consistent test of the success of a society. And by the way, Mr. Chair, I hope it's acceptable here that I've referenced these historical figures. In 2020, America admitted only 18,000 thoroughly vetted refugees who were fleeing persecution, about 100 of whom settled in Missoula. They learn English, they get tutoring, including tutoring and entrepreneurship, and they quickly integrate into the community, helping the local economy. Many of these refugees leave their countries because they've been persecuted for their religious beliefs, such as the Christians from Syria and Iraq. If we really believe in religious freedom, let's live our beliefs by protecting the limited number of people whose lives are literally on the line because of their religious beliefs. Perhaps for some, turning down this federal money to assist these folks for a few months as they resettle might be based on fear, and I understand that. Over the years, I've heard many false and exaggerated claims about refugees that come from a place of fear. But the very reason that the Bible repeats itself so many times in telling us to love the refugee and makes it central to so many of the stories is because fear is a very strong emotion, and we need to be constantly reminded to resist it, to do what justice demands of us. This amendment simply asks us to go beyond fear, to call on our higher selves, our better selves, our godly selves. Members of the body, vote green, please. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And Representative Gott, as always,